I'm going to put -5 in for y2. So y2 is -5, so I'm going to put y2 here. -5 there. Minus y1. Well, what did I label y1? -6. So I'm going to put -6 here. So I have y2, -5, minus y1, -6. This is just telling me my change in my y values. Now let's do the bottom part. x2 minus x1. Well, x2, what did I label x2? The +6. So 6 minus x1, what did I label x1? 4. So now that I have each number in its place the way I labeled it, now I can actually figure out what these are. Now, please remember, you get a calculator. So you can use a calculator. We don't need to try to do this in our head. -5 minus -6 is +1. If you don't believe me, go look in a calculator. Over 6 minus 4 is 2. So that means my slope equals 1/2. Here's my slope. So this is the slope for this table, 1/2. Now we need to find the y-intercept because we want to write our equation. We want to write our y equals mx plus b. Well, we found the slope. The slope is 1/2. Now we need to find the y-intercept. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to do it totally algebraically, meaning we're going to have to be solving some stuff. The first question I want to ask, and someone can write it in the chat if they want to, because I don't want to give you the answer. I want you to think about this. On a graph, when I have my y-intercept, at this point, what is the x value? On the y-intercept, at this point, what is the x value? And I'll be very impressed if we get this, because this is sometimes a hard concept to understand. At this point on the y-axis, what is the x value at this point? Don't overthink it though. What is the x value? I feel like someone wants to put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. You can private message me. What is the x value on any place on the y-axis? What is the x value at that point? Awesome. Good job. 0. 0 is the x value at that point. So any y-intercept is going to have an x value of 0. So we're going to use that to our advantage here. We know, sorry, I didn't know why I said that loud. We know that the x value is 0 at this point. And so I want us to make sure we understand that concept, okay? I don't know why I said we're going to use that to our advantage. I just want you to understand that concept. So we have our equation. Right now, y equals mx plus b. We have our equation. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. We're trying to find the b value, right? We have our m value. We know our m value is 1/2. We know our slope is 1/2. But we're trying to find this b value. So what we're going to do is plug in an x and a y. And you're probably wondering, what do you mean plug in an x and a y? Well, let's look at our table. Don't we have plenty of x's and y's we can choose from? Absolutely. I'm just going to choose this x and y couple right here. And it has to be a couple that you choose from. So I'm going to choose this x and y couple right here. This 8 is an x value. This -4 is a y value. And I'm going to plug this into my equation y equals mx plus b. So the y value is -4, so I'm going to plug in -4 for y. So y, -4. I just plugged it in. I substituted it. Put down the equal sign. M, the slope was 1/2, so that's why that's there. M is multiplied to x, so The x value I chose was 8, so I'm going to plug in 8 for the x value. Do I know my plus b? No, so I'm going to write down plus b. So I'm going to do this kind of slow because I want to make sure everyone understands. I want to solve for b. That's my goal. I'm trying to figure out what my y-intercept is, so I need to solve for it. So to solve, I need to simplify everything. And part of simplifying is right here is I need to multiply this out. 1/2 times 8. I need to multiply this. 1/2 times 8 equals 4. So we're going to go ahead and bring everything down. We're going to bring down the -4. 1/2 times 8 was +4. And then I'm going to bring down the plus b. So I'm almost there. I'm solving for b, so I got to get rid of this +4. This +4 that's all by itself. How could I get rid of this +4? I heard something back in. I couldn't hear exactly what it was.
By adding a negative number.
Okay, so since it's positive, I'm going to subtract 4. Good. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides because that's the only way I can get rid of this +4. So -4, voice crack. -4 minus 4 is -8. 4 minus 4 cancels out. That means -8 equals b. This is my y-intercept. Here is my y-intercept. So I found my slope of 1/2 and my y-intercept of -8. So my equation is y equals mx plus b. My equation is 1/2 x, because 1/2 is the slope, minus 8, because -8 is the y-intercept. So here's my equation for this table. So this is all we're learning today. So if you felt like you grasped that, then you're good to go. But we're going to do about 3 or 4 more examples. And then I'm going to let you go off to do the assignment. So if you have a question, that's fine. We're about to do another example. Go ahead and copy this table down. My goal is to be done by 9:45, so 10 minutes. That's my goal. All right. So we want to find the slope and y-intercept of this table. So we're going to first work on the slope. So we have to use our formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So first we need to label our table. So I'm going to do the same thing. The first x, I'm going to label x1. The first y is y1. Second x is x2. Second y is y2. So now we're going to plug this into our formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 we chose for y2 is 9. So y2 minus y1, so minus y1, we chose 7 for y1. So 9 minus 7. And please don't get confused. When I put parentheses around it, it doesn't make anything different, okay? Sometimes I put parentheses, sometimes I don't. If they're negative numbers, I do put parentheses around them because it helps me keep everything organized. All right, and then we're gonna do x2 minus x1 because we wanna see our change in x. So our x2 is 12 minus x1, which is 9. So 9 minus 7, give me 2. 12 minus 9 will give me 3. So my slope is 2/3. Please stop me and ask a question if you're confused about finding the slope. All right, now we're gonna find our y-intercept. So y equals mx plus b. This is our linear equation. And the only reason we're plugging in x and y is because we want to find b. But in our final equation, x and y are not going to be plugged in. So choose a point. It doesn't matter which point you choose. I could choose 9, 7. I could use 12, 9. I could use 15, 11. I'll use 12, 9 for this one. I want to show you it doesn't matter which point you're using. So 12 is an x value and 9 is a y value. So I'm going to plug that in. So the y value we chose is 9. M, the slope we got, is 2/3. The x value we chose is 12. And then plus b. So if you feel confident, go ahead. But I'm going to still move slow because I want understanding. So first thing I do is I need to multiply this. 2/3 times 12. Use a calculator. So in Desmos, you could actually do 2/3 times 12. So 2/3 times 12 is 8. So that gives me 9 equals 8 plus b. I'm almost there, but I got to get rid of this positive 8. How would I get rid of it?
2 minus 8.
Perfect. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. I need to do one where there's a negative. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. 9 minus 8 will give me 1. So 1 equals b. Here's my y-intercept. I have my slope. I have my y-intercept. So my equation is y equals 2/3 x plus 1. So this is all we're learning today, finding the slope and the y-intercept of a table. I usually have questions by now. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So with the, like, so you said not, like, to subtract it from both sides to make it not positive anymore. Like, I don't really understand that part.
This right here, the -8.
Yeah.
Okay, so 8, so we want to solve for b. So we want b by itself on this side of the equal sign. So I have to get rid of everything around the b. So I need to get rid of this positive 8. I know 8 is positive because there's not a negative sign in front of it. So the only way I can get rid of it is doing the opposite operation. So if it's positive, I would have to subtract it to get rid of it, because 8 minus 8 is 0. So that would get rid of it off of this side. And what I do to one side, I have to do it to the other. So that's why I do 9 minus 8 over here.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if this was negative, I would add 8 to both sides. So it's just doing the opposite to get rid of it.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. All right. All right, let's do this table. If you feel like you understand, I want you to go ahead of me and write me in the chat what the slope and y-intercept of this equation is. If you feel like you still need more practice and need me to help, that's fine. I'm about to do it again. So first we need to find the slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So first we need to label your table. I'm going to show you that it doesn't matter which 2 points you choose. So I'm going to choose 2 different points this time. So x1, y1, x2, y2. The biggest thing is you need to remember that if this one's x1, this one has to be y1. There are a couple. This one's x2, this one has to be y2. There are a couple. So I'm going to plug this into my formula. So y2 is -4, so -4 minus y1, which is -5. I would put that in parentheses because a negative and a negative, no, we want to make sure we see that and separate that. x2 is -2 minus x1, -3. Now, this time, instead of me just doing it for you, which I know some of you are just waiting for me to do your calculations, go use a calculator and figure it out. So everyone find the slope and then message me in the chat what it is. So at this point, all you have to do is use the calculator. So once you find the slope, message it to me in the chat. Message it to me in the chat. 45 more seconds. Let me see what that slope is. All right, -4 minus -5 is +1. -2 minus -3 is also +1. So 1 over 1 will give me just 1. So my slope is 1. So this is my M. So now we need to find our y-intercept. So y equals mx plus b. If you already feel like you know it and you've already done it, awesome. Private message me in the chat. So I need to pick a point. So I'm going to choose this point, this x and this y. So I'm going to substitute these values in to my equation. The y value I chose is -6. So -6 equals my m, my slope is 1. The x value that I chose is -4. And then plus b. So -6 equals 1 times -4. I'm just going to go ahead and do that out, is -4. And then plus b. I'm almost there. So I need to get rid of this -4. How do I get rid of this -4?
Add it.
Add it. So I do the opposite. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. -6 plus 4 is -2. This cancels out, so that means b equals -2. Here's my y-intercept. So my equation is y equals 1x, but remember I don't put the 1 in front of the x, -2. Awesome job to the people in the chat. Y equals x minus 2. This would be my equation. All right, if you are confused at this point, I need you to tell me something. I need you to tell me something. All right, so what we're gonna do is look at 2 word problems and then we're done. But just because they're word problems doesn't make it 1,000 times harder. It's literally the same thing we just did, but with word problems. A gym charges a membership fee. Oh, pause. Membership fee. If I think back, I know that a membership fee represents my y-intercept. That one-time fee, that initial amount, my starting amount. So this is my, I know membership fee represents y-intercept. Plus an additional fee per, oh, there's that per word. I know that's talking about slope, per yoga class. The table shows the linear relationship between the number of yoga classes taken and the total cost, including the membership fee. Which statement is true? So I'm just gonna look at these statements real quick. The membership fee is this. This is asking about the y-intercept. This one says the additional fee per yoga class. Well, this is talking about the slope. So basically what we need to do here is find the slope and the y-intercept of this table. Some of you are stuck right now because you're like, which one's X and which one's Y? Let me give you a little thing. The left column is always your X's and the Y column is always your Y values. So what I really desire is that you go ahead of me now, because we've just done 3 examples of finding the slope and y-intercept for tables. So just because this is a word problem did not make it different. It's the same thing. So I'm going to label my table X1, X2, Y1, Y2.
Miss Patterson, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So the table, we can choose so you said we can choose any of the numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
So it doesn't matter at all?
You can choose any of the numbers as long as you keep them together. So if I didn't want this one to be X1 and Y1, I would have to I can make 15 in this one, X1 and Y1. But like the X1 and Y1 have to be a couple. So I can't be like, oh, I can choose this one as X1 and this one as Y1. So they have to be a couple. But yeah, you can choose any of them.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do my slope equation, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I think I'm gonna need my calculator. All right, 59.25 minus 52.75 over 9 minus 7. That's for me. If you chose different ones, it will give you the same answer. It doesn't matter. All right, so when I do this, 59.25 minus 52.75 gives me 6.5. 9 minus 7 gives me 2. I do not want to leave it like this. I want to actually figure out what 6.5 divided by 2 is. And that would give me 3.25. So that's our slope, 3.25. So that is our slope. So that's our that's our fee per yoga class. This is the amount of money per yoga class. So automatically, I can probably cross out some of the answer choices. So my fee per yoga class is 3.25. So I know that my last statement is true. So this one's true. Let's see if any of the other answers are true. So we know that this statement B is false because we know the fee per yoga class is 3.25. So now let's see if any of these are true for our y-intercept. So we need to find our y-intercept. So y equals mx plus b. I need to choose a point. I'm just going to choose this point right here because it's the smallest numbers and to me just easier to work with. So I'm going to choose this x and y value to plug in to figure out my y-intercept. So the y value is 52.75. My slope that we found is 3.25. And please remember, you get a calculator, so don't let all the decimals freak you out. The x value is 7, and we're looking for our b value. So 3.25 times 7 is 22.75. So I'm going to bring down the 52.75 and the plus b. So we're one step away from finding our y-intercept. So we got to get rid of this positive 22.75. So I'm going to subtract 22.75 from both sides. And that will give me 30 equals b. So there's my y-intercept, meaning my membership fee is $30. So the third statement and the last statement are true. Okay. if I'm going too quick for you and I'm moving the slides too quick, you can always take screenshots of the slides as well. So the big thing, we have done the same thing 4 times. The big thing is finding the slope and y-intercept of the table and understanding the process of doing those 2 things. So on this last one, you can kind of try to think of it as like your exit ticket. But obviously you're not exiting everything, but I'm done with the lesson after this. So here what I'm doing is I'm not giving you the answer. In order to move on to the next thing, you're gonna need to type me in the chat the answer to this, okay? Obviously now I'm gonna put a time limit on it because then we could just be sitting here the rest of the class. So I can't read the top because stuff is blocking it, but I think it says Caroline will buy some stamps every month to add to her stamp collection her grandfather already gave her. The table shows the number of stamps Caroline had at the end of X months. The question asks, how many stamps was Caroline given? So we're trying to figure out how much she started with. We're trying to figure out how much she started with. Because this is how much she was originally given. Well, that is talking about the y-intercept. And how many stamps will she buy every or each month? Well, if I'm trying to figure out each month, that's talking about the slope. So I need to figure out the slope and the y-intercept for this table. Don't let this mess you up. Notice the X values are on the top part of the table, the Y values are on the bottom, but make sure you still put your Y2 minus Y1 on top. So I was almost about to make that mistake. Okay, I'm gonna give us one more minute because I definitely don't want to keep y'all too long on this part because I don't want y'all to leave here with homework. So one more minute, try to find that slope and y-intercept. If you've only found the slope, at least give me that. I need to know that you know how to do at least one part of this assignment, of this task. All right. So for your slope, at least, you should have gotten 100/2, which reduces into 50. And then when you plug in your slope and a point, for me, I plugged in the last point, so that gave me 700 equals 500 plus b. And when I subtract 500 from both sides, that gives me b equals 200. So my slope, how much she bought each month, is 50, and my y-intercept, how much she started with, is 200. So what we're gonna do, so awesome to the people who got the answer and did in the chat. Thank you so much for your participation.